Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Brian Fisher is my name. Talk a little bit about politically correct language in this segment. I want to play a soundbite from Bill Maher. This is A6, audio soundbite only for those of you that are watching video streaming at afr.net, audio and video streaming, or watching on television, or catching this on a podcast or on the iPhone or Android app or iPad app. This is Bill Maher. And Bill Maher, we played sound bites from him before. This guy's profane. He's vulgar. We have to virtually edit every clip that we use of his. But he has just about had it with the same thing that you and I have had. He's had it up to here with all of this political correctness when it comes to speech. Here's Bill Maher.
I also, for example, think it's ridiculous that Facebook has now decided we have to choose in our profile from 56 different genders, including transgender, cisgender, and of course, Bruce gender. You know that I once almost ate at Chick-fil-A just because so many people were telling me I shouldn't eat at Chick-fil-A. But then I remembered, it's Chick-fil-A. But even atheists make me roll my eyes sometimes, like when they sue to have a cross taken down from a building. Oh, for sake, we're atheists, not vampires. If you can't handle seeing a cross now and then, you picked the wrong country.
So he goes PC on us, going to go to Chick-fil-A, and then I realized it was Chick-fil-A, so he succumbed to the PC police on that one. But even Bill Maher now getting fed up with the speech police. I got a piece here by Doug Wilson. Knew of him from the state of Idaho. He lives up there north. Excellent writer and thinker. And I just wanted to read a little bit, an excerpt. He's kind of dealing with this issue of political correctness and us being shouted down by people on the left. I mean, people like Bill Maher who shout us down and who call foul when we speak about subjects that they don't want to hear about. He says, I got a little parable to tell you. He says, once there was a game of pickup basketball, and there were two teams, red shirts and blue shirts. The red shirts were from red states, and the blue shirts were from blue states. Beyond the basic rules of the game, so the blue shirts are liberals, the red shirts are conservatives. Beyond the basic rules of the game, the blue shirts had only two requirements. The first was that they needed to be allowed to ref the game as well as play it. And the second requirement was that if anybody on the red team questioned any call, it was an automatic technical. And they had to go and sit on the racist bench or on the misogynist bench, or I would add the gay bigot bench, depending on which eyebrow they had raised in protest. At first, the game looked kind of normal, but as time went on, the calls started getting more and more outlandish. First, the blue players would flop when there was just slight contact, then when there was no contact at all, and finally they commenced to flopping whenever a red player came within 3 feet of them. Of course, there were some protests, and thus it was that the red state bench started accumulating a bad reputation for racism and misogyny, and I would add homosexual bigotry. I mean, look at all of them sitting there, such a poor testimony. Pretty soon everybody was used to this system, and when a hot-headed player started to argue or even looked like he was thinking about arguing a call, all the evangelicals in the bleachers, evangelicals now, in the bleachers, behind him would start hissing at him. Testimony, testimony, sit down, like it was a blight on their testimony that they were publicly defending righteousness. Most of the time, the player would sit down. Now, in the off season, lots of evangelicals from the bleachers would attend conferences dedicated to the question of why we were losing so many basketball games. They would actually fill arenas for such conferences with about 10 times more attendees than would show up for the basketball games themselves, and the registrations cost about 5 times more than the basketball tickets cost. And Doug Wilson says, look, I've had it with this. I've had it with all this PC stuff when it comes to language. I've had it with being shouted down. He says, I've had it with being shouted down by evangelicals, by people that are supposed to be on the same team, by people that are sitting behind our bench that are supposed to be rooting for us. We're the ones that are out on the floor and they're the ones that are sitting in the bench, and they're the ones that are joining the opposing team in telling us to sit down and shut up. He says this, I am refusing to go to the bench, and I refuse to apologize. In addition, ascending to my personal zenith of irreverence, I refuse to apologize for any earlier expressions like lesbiterians, gaystapo, and so forth. So anyway, he says, look, I've just about had it with bending to the PC police. I am talking about those posers and hypocrites who have assumed a complete and preening authority over the public lexicon as an essential step in their drive to control all thought by controlling all language. And it talks about the importance of language, and we've talked about this before. You define the terms, you control the debate. Once you accept their terminology, they're going to win the debate. You're stuck once you accept their terminology. All right, well, let's go to the phones. Let's grab a call from Sean, Wichita, Kansas. Sean, welcome. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I just picked up and heard your show just a few hours ago.
Oh, great.
And
thanks for tuning in.
yeah. I was just kind of calling to get a feel for, I think Bill Maher's genius.
Uh-huh.
Really like him, really like all of his views. And I was wondering, from an earlier statement, what we were talking about when we said that if you want tattooed earring people following you.
Yeah. And what did you want to say about that?
Well, you said it like it was a disgusting thing.
No, I wasn't saying that at all. I didn't mean that at all. I'm just saying, look, if you think of somebody with tattoos and earrings, you typically will think that there are probably a set of values that go with that. Now, I'm not saying everybody has them. I'm not even saying I'm right about that, but that's what people think, that there's a certain set of values that go with somebody that wears tattoos. Now, I know a lot of people that have tattoos. So I'm not saying anything about tattoos. Don't misunderstand me. But
So you say it was a misconception?
Well, I'm saying it might be. But what I'm saying is if you go to somebody that's wearing tattoos and they happen to share the values that a lot of people who have tattoos share, and you decide what you're going to do is you're going to compromise on your values to get this unorthodoxly appearing person to be a part of your political movement, then you're sacrificing your principles, and nobody should do that. What we ought to do is to share a conservative worldview with the guy with the tattoos or the earrings, help him to see the wisdom and the beauty of conservative principle and bring him into the party by convincing him of the superiority of a conservative worldview, not by capitulating in order to adjust to whatever his values happens to be. That's all I'm saying.
Well, it kind of sounded like that, people with tattoos couldn't be conservative.
No, I wasn't saying that.
People with tattoos and earrings.
No, I wasn't saying that.
Way.
So do you understand? I wasn't saying that. Do you understand that now?
Yeah, I get you. I got you. Just,
okay.
Don't agree with it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's fine. Well, I got a lot, and thanks for the call. I got a lot of guys that are bikers that are in Christian biker groups, outfits. Man, they're tatted up. Those guys love Jesus as much or more than I do. All right, let's go to Donald in Louisville, Illinois. Donald, welcome. Welcome, Donald. What's on your mind? Donald, are you with me?
Yes.
Okay, yes, sir. Go right ahead. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I just had a few comments I wanted to add. I've been listening to your show. I appreciate you accepting my call.
Yes, sir.
I've got one thing I want to put out. We have a giant problem with Democrat and Republican. As far as all politics are concerned, I think you need a new party. I've got a question here for you. Maybe you can answer. Was Jesus a conservative? He was a servant. We seem to have a war here against our political parties, and that divides the people. I'm a truck driver, and I listen to this stuff every day, and I think people need to open their eyes. Would you don't treat anybody as if you wouldn't treat your own brother.
Correct, and I guess I'm wondering where that would take us, politically.
politically,
Yeah.
it'll take us a whole different world, probably.
But you're talking about a new you're talking about the need for a new political party. That
Yeah, I'm
would
talking
be
about somebody that believes in love.
yeah. So what would that look like, for instance, Donald? What would that look like then politically? What would that look like when it came to the issue of whether two homosexuals should be able to get married?
Well, God didn't ever, he never did put anything in biblical aspects of that was okay.
But see now, Donald, but realize right away if you do that, so you say we shouldn't be for same-sex marriage because God is not for it. I agree with you 100%. I would be, and the Republican Party has a platform that enshrines natural marriage. But you realize, Donald, just as soon as you do that, then the other side are going to say, well, I thought you were all about love. You're just being mean. You're not letting these people have what they want. So do you understand the dilemma that it creates?
Well, let me put it this way here. I realize what you're saying, but also, God gave me the choice. Don, you can come up to heaven or you can go to hell.
Mm-hmm.
That's up to you.
Yeah.
Okay? He gave me that choice, right?
Well, and I guess we're out of time, Donald, because we're up against the end of the hour, and I appreciate your call very, very much. And I think we're in agreement, Donald, is that a political party ought to build whatever political principles it pursues on the abiding word of God and on the standards of God. And that means some people may not like your political position or your politics very much. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. God bless you.